A single signature just slapped $100,000 price tag on new H-1B applications, and the shock ripped through India's $283 billion IT engine like a sonic boom. Screens flashed red, traders dumped mid caps first, and Slack channels from Bengaluru to the Bay Area lit up with travel freezes and emergency town halls. For a few frantic hours, families scrambled for red eye flights back to the US until a crucial clarification. This is a one time fee only for new petitions. Existing holders and renewals are not hit. The panic eased, but the strategy rewrite did not. The fee applies to new filings tied to workers outside the United States, kicking in immediately for petitions that would start showing up in delivery plans from fiscal year 27. Fiscal year 26 visa pipelines are largely locked. That means there's no overnight collapse in existing projects. But here is an immediate repricing of how, when, and why you send a person on site at all. The on site offshore model isn't dead, it's being filtered. So only mission critical roles cross borders. Meanwhile, Nifty IT fell 3% in a single session, with Tech Mahindra, Persistent, and Emphasis sold hardest, while TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and HCLTech slid 2 to 5%. After the one time new only clarification, some bids returned, but the sector's risk premium ticked up. Investors now assume lower on site intensity, more delivery model churn, and near term margin noise as contracts are repriced. And here's the part most hot takes miss: the giants have already de risked. HCLTech's US workforce is 80% local, Tech Mahindra 70%, Infosys 60%, TCS 50%. On site as a share of total headcount across the top vendors is roughly about 20%, and only 20 to 30% of that on site pool is H-1B, meaning a typical vendor's active workforce has just 3 to 5% on H-1B at any time. New approvals for Indian IT have also trended down since 2022. Infosys by 72%, TCS by 45%, Wipro by 33%, even as American big tech now accounts for many more fresh filings than Indian vendors. The $100,000 fee accelerates a shift that was already underway. In boardrooms, the new rule becomes a filter. If a role's on site presence is revenue critical or regulated, the one time hit is tolerable and can often be priced into total contract value. For everything else, the center of gravity moves. More work lands in global capability centers in Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Pune. More nearshore pods stand up in Canada and Mexico, and automation takes the first swing. AI copilots, code gen, test automation, and L1, L2 agentic runbooks don't need visas, and they compress the need for bench bodies on site. Giants can flex local benches, subcontracting networks, and change request muscle. Midcaps and venture backed startups that relied on fresh H-1Bs to seed US programs feel the squeeze earliest. Sales cycle lengthen, travel is rationed, and local first GTM becomes mandatory. Analysts and experts that AIM reached out to said this, that some deals will be delayed or rescoped to reduce on-site ratio. Others move offshore first from day one. Brokerage models suggest a 50 to 150 BPS margin drag if you keep sponsoring broadly. But if you pivot to higher offshore mix and AI assisted delivery, EBIT can stabilize or even improve while top line growth moderates. Ironically, the biggest users of new H-1Bs today include US technology leaders, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Google, who file large volumes for specialized high pay roles. A six-figure fee forces every CIO and CFO to rank skills by mission criticality. Push mid-tier foreign hiring out, and you nudge companies harder toward automation and domestic pipelines. But you also risk starving some programs of scarce skills. That's why immigration attorneys expect lawsuits and possible injunctions. Fee setting authority and national interest exemptions will be the battlegrounds. Even if courts temper the rule, the strategic lesson has landed. Cut routine on site dependence, reserve travel for irreplaceable value. For Indian students, the ladder from OPT to H-1B just got narrower. The near term fear spike subsided after the clarification, but the signal is clear. Fewer fresh filings for non critical roles, tighter client justification, and a stronger pull toward Canada, Germany, Japan, and the GCC ecosystem in India. Remittances and return migration patterns will reflect this shift. The human side of the story, though, cancelled vacations, hurried re entries, anxious parents is very real and palpable, even if the fee is one time and limited to new cases. Watch for legal challenges, testing the order's scope, agency guidance on enforcement and exemptions, procurement behavior as US clients weigh security, data residency, and compliance against offshore savings and earnings, commentary on pricing power, offshore mix, and AI adoption curves. A separate but related policy drumbeat, the proposed outsourcing levy ideas like a 25% tax may resurface rhetorically even if odds of passage are low, keeping home-shoring politics in the frame. Pay selectively for critical roles, accept a short-term 50 to 150 BPS hit, and protect strategic logos, or lean into offshore first and AI assisted pods, trading some near term growth for margin sturdiness. Or do both with a sequenced plan. Triage roles into mission critical H-1B, local first hires, nearshore squads, and automated runbooks. So basically, if courts pare back the rule later, few boards will rebuild the old dependency. The costs and the uncertainty have done the job of forcing a permanent mix shift. Every added dollar of US friction raises the relative appeal of building at home. GCCs aren't just cost centers anymore. They are where product, platform, and AI capabilities are designed and scaled. With the right policy tailwinds, R&D credits, faster approvals, compute and data access frameworks, return talent fast tracks. India can convert diverted on-site headcount into patents, products, and platforms. Basically, This is how brain drain turns into brain gain, not by blocking exits, but by making staying the fastest path to impact. The bottom line: the American dream wasn't cancelled, it was actually repriced. Indian IT won't break, it will rebalance. Fewer routine on site rotations, more local hiring where it matters, more nearshoring, and a lot more work done by AI augmented teams in India. Whether the rule stands or gets narrowed, the strategy already changed. And that shift supercharges India's own AI decade. To shed light on this ever evolving situation is a very diverse panel. Ankur Mehra. Ankur, a Meta veteran, ex YouTube MCN leader, military veteran turned EdTech founder, and LinkedIn top voice, is authoring Pixels to Profits with Penguin Random House, your roadmap to winning in the $500 billion creator economy. Bharat Jaswani, leading finance and AI teams at Prodigal, ex Deloitte, and a chartered accountant. Sudhir Reddy, founder at TripGain, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Sloan School of Management. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. I hope you're doing wonderfully well. Bharat and Sudhir, would love your thoughts from your own industry
Sure,
perspectives.
absolutely, absolutely. Hi, this is Sudhir. So
Hi,
I
Sudhir.
think
I'm
it's a
Sudhir.
hi. So I think
I
it's a
had to
very
do that.
interesting. We are in a very exciting and interesting times, and at the same time, very chaotic times. I'm primarily a product guy, so for me, I think it's a great opportunity. At this point of time, people coming back to India, of course, they may not. But the point is that moving forward, I believe the product companies should take this as an advantage and ship products which are global in nature, so that the dependency on people comes down, the dependency on AI goes up, dependency on Indian made products for the globe goes up, right? So I think we are living in a very interesting time today, and it's an opportunity for all of us who are basically primarily in India and who are planning to come back to India. It's a great opportunity for them to come back to India, build products for the globe, and take it forward from there.
Well, last but not the least, Bharat, the voice of Bharat.
Hi, thanks for having me,
Hi.
guys.
Hi.
What I believe is anyways, hi. Okay, guys. So what I believe is this shift. Anyways, we were seeing that there was a lot of India first thinking throughout the last 12 to 18 months, and this big shift, which is a huge surplus to us, would only make us more stronger. I do believe there is a lot of short-term pain, but the long-term picture looks very strong and clear for all the companies that want to build in India. And in my mind, like Sudhir said, a lot of companies will have to become product companies, and until now, a lot of the GCCs were custom software shipping companies, but now they'll have to bring in more R&D inside and actually spend the surplus cash that would be now left over from the employees returning back to India with lower H-1B applicants. What this means is these companies will have to use that money to research and build AI in India and outpace their customers and their segments and adopt AI first within so as to they can still hold on to the market share. So in my mind, short-term gain, short-term pain, long-term gain, build more apps, more AI, spend into research.
Wonderful. So it means all three voices have definitely pointed out that these are interesting, exciting types, which of course brings me to the perfect segue as Bharat just put it across. With AI taking over many routine tasks, how much work will really need to be done on site in the US by 2027? And what's the right balance between offshore and local teams to keep both profits and client trust? I'd like to start off with Ankur, because Bharat just, of course, spoke about this. Of course, Bharat, I would like to come to you a little later post Ankur and Sudhir. So, Ankur, take it away, please.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like I was mentioning, I think there's going to be there is always this particular moment in time acts as a trigger moment for the trend that was already starting to show, which is more AI led roles replacement happening for more routine roles. Um, I guess in terms of the balance that you were mentioning, I feel like there's going to be more sort of trust based roles or roles which required more trust to be built by the consumer or by the customers or by the clients will need to be still in based in location on site, but more sort of development related roles or more back-end kind of roles will tend to get more and more offshored or nearshored across in India or even Latin America or Canada, whichever markets. I guess the balance is going to be very very fewer folks who are customer facing roles mostly still staying there, and I think the impact will mostly likely to be in terms of the years of experience. I think the younger lot or maybe the entry level, the mid level roles might get more impacted with this movement as compared to slightly more senior client facing or key account management kind of roles, which are already in the US managing clients or managing accounts over there. Those will still continue to be there. But I guess the more mid level roles and more back end sort of roles will start to kind of move back over.
Sudhir, would it impact the balance as Ankur just mentioned? I mean, you being a products person, as you had mentioned
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
would this somewhere, let's say, hit the balance since he's talking about the initial roles or the mid-level roles will get impacted, but the senior roles will remain obviously in terms of the focus. Will this upset the balance at some level or the other? Do you feel, or would it only encourage a reshift in thinking?
So hi. So what I feel right now is like, historically, if you see product companies which are built outside the US and which have playbooks with their GTM in the US, right? For them, there's no change at all. But then for companies like TCS, Wipro, Infosys, who are primarily job was to ship basically employees there. They were taking the labor arbitrage, right? For them, what is going to happen is that there will be a balance shift in the balance. They will have to rethink their strategy. And what I believe is that nearshore will in the short term nearshore setups will increase a lot. I believe Canada and Mexico will definitely see a rise.
As we
And then
just
what is
mentioned, yeah.
yeah, that's going to happen for sure. And the higher level people, of course, because 100,000 is basically affordable for roles which is, for example, it's an implementation role, or if it is basically presentation or a sales related role or a marketing related role, right? I think those roles will continue to be served in the US. And lastly, what is going to happen? I'll tell you what. There will be a lot of GCCs being will be opened in India or the Middle East, or probably. So that is already happening, by the way. In
Yes, it
fact, even
is.
before $100,000, it's already happening. If you look at India, especially in Hyderabad, so many GCCs have been
Yeah.
opened, and Pune also. So I think in the short term, this model will be there, but in the long
In
term,
Karnataka, the tier 2 cities are getting a huge boost as far as the GCCs are concerned.
yes,
Mr. Sanjay Kumar Gupta, who was here with us, he had also mentioned
yeah,
on front page in terms of, he feels very passionately and emotionally about it. And it's very close to his heart. So, yeah, you're right.
yeah,
I mean, there's a big push as far as that is concerned. But
true.
maybe this particular fees has only accelerated that momentum. Would you agree, Sudhir?
Very true, very true.
Yeah?
So so that's the whole point, right? So what is going to happen next is that in the short term, nearshore and the GCCs will be set up, but in the long term, I'll stick to the same point. In the long term, the product based companies or companies will completely shift from a services mindset to a product mindset. and that is the only sustainable model. Otherwise, with this kind of turbulence, you can't actually plan long term things, right? So the only sustainable model is to make your own products and build for the world.
Okay. So, well, till now, Bharat, as far as both Ankur and Sudhir are concerned, they seem to be, of course, on the lines of saying that this will be a great push. This will help as far as India is concerned. This is my question to you, and I would like for you to kick off this thought. If the $100,000 visa fee means only the most critical experts can travel, how should companies decide which roles are truly worth sending abroad, and will that set a cat amongst the pigeons?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a tricky one, right? A lot of companies are now contemplating they'll have to revisit their strategy of who to take to the onshore sites and not to. And in my mind, the best way to look at is where does the lot of value gets captured in terms of getting projects executed. And a company has already been doing this for a while, which is called Palantir, which goes by the model of deploying forward deployed engineers to their customer sites. So in my mind, uh, product engineering folks who get a lot of stuff done in strong collaboration and coordination with their customers, I think they would continue to go on. And over a long period of time, you would see some GTM folks, product folks, and these forward deployed engineers that capture a lot of value and can break down these projects to the teams back in offshore sites would actually continue to be working from the onshore.
Okay. Ankur, till now, of course, we've discussed, you've mentioned, so has Sudhir, about the fact that this seems to be a good move. But given the thought that just Bharat just mentioned and he talked about, would you agree with Bharat in terms of the fact, or would you disagree with him? And I would love for you to weigh in on this.
I definitely don't disagree. I completely agree. I think in the way I look at it is that, of course, now with the $100,000 ticket size riding on every visa, I think companies will have to start thinking about the ROI on the visa that they are issuing or that they are applying for. So
Which is a big one.
it's going to be more about a visa ROI framework that everybody has to start thinking about and figuring out how if particular roles are going to be based out of the US, how are they actually beating the ROI and making sure that they're probably giving a positive ROI in terms of investing in that visa cost over there. So yeah, I guess that's how things will start moving on. It'll be more quantifiable and it'll be um, more metrics driven than earlier, where it was a little bit more account driven. This time things will start becoming more impact driven rather than people driven.
Okay. Sudhir, then that brings me to that point in terms of the fact that what just Ankur had mentioned, that somewhere the human capital aspect is definitely going to take a hit with this particular with this particular fee being introduced, because probably about 10 minutes back, all three of you gentlemen on the panel seem to agree that these are exciting times, but not so much from what these two aspects have been just brought to light, both by Bharat and by Ankur. What do you feel about that? That the human capital
Yeah,
definitely will take a
I
hit.
was, yeah, I mostly agree with them. See, I'm primarily from a travel technology background, right? So
Yep.
if you draw the situation which we had just right after COVID, right? So right after COVID, people started cutting off on their travel budgets drastically. All the large companies, including Amazon, Amazon was having $1 billion of travel budget and suddenly cut down, and they had to take call as to who actually travels. And this is similar to the situation, right? It's
Mm.
basically it's going to be outcome driven. So for example, the customer, what the customer wants, what kind of profile the customer wants, only them, don't only they will be actually probably taking the $100,000 paying the $100,000 fee and taking the H-1B visa. So it will certainly be outcome driven. Like Ankur said, it is basically ROI. It's the same thing, right? So there will be an ROI calculation as to whether the employee justifies the $100,000 visa fee.
Okay. So smaller IT and SaaS firms may no longer afford to send people on H-1B visas, as we have kind of established. What new ways can they win US customers by partnering with, let's say, local firms, using nearshore centers, or running projects fully from India? Is this that particular time that we can cash in on this? Would you look at this as a huge opportunity for India, all three of you gentlemen? Or do you see it as there are going to be other factors or impacts which we are not being able to right now foresee?
I'll tell you what. So I'll tell you what. There is no one size fits all answer for this, because it is going to be hybrid for sure. Like, few of them will try nearshore a lot. Few of them will try to completely offshore businesses. Few of them will cut down everything and depend on products which are solving their problems, and only have people with high ROI. Like, they will be able to afford the $100,000 fees. But I'll tell you what, there's one thing that is going to happen out of all these exercises, right? There will be newer startups or newer companies who would navigate this and probably become unicorns, taking advantage of this situation. So you never know about startups, right? They would completely come up with a new business model and disrupt this chaos altogether.
Pixels to profit, Ankur. Do you see this as becoming a part of what just Sudhir just mentioned? You're authoring a book on it. Do you feel that this is something which is going to go ahead and see that big boost as far as people using that wave and moving forward? Or do you disagree with Sudhir altogether? That maybe it could be something which is also intimidating for the startups.
See, I think if you go back a little back in time, the offshoring business really kicked off in the early 2000s, and it was at literally ground zero, and then it suddenly rocketed to a point where it is today, where bigger companies like Wipro and Infosys, they have offshore employees which runs into thousands and thousands. The business model has perfected itself as of now. Now again, there's a disruption. Now with this disruption, again, businesses will start to rethink how will they approach the current, the current problem statement that they've been given. But the advantage that everybody has right now is the advantage of experience. So the baseline is much higher as compared to what it was 20 years or 25 years back. So I definitely think the advantage of technology, the advantage of experience, the advantage of people, processes. There are so many different advantages that to my earlier panelist's point, I do feel that there's going to be more and more disruptive solutions that will come out of this disruption that is happening. And while we're talking about disruptions and solutions and all, I think the one key piece that I'm really I'm really mindful about, and which really affects most of the people, is the qualitative aspect of this entire shift that is happening. I think that's a very, very important aspect that not many people are talking about at this point. Eventually, we're talking about not numbers, we're talking about human beings, we're talking about their families, we're talking about their children's education.
Yes.
I think those are the big things that are set to get disrupted, and I feel really sorry for the ones who will be uprooted, whether it's somebody's gain or somebody's drain, but it's definitely going to be the human cost in the middle, which is going to get crunched. So yeah, that's my take on this situation.
Bharat, the point that Ankur just touched upon definitely is a very poignant one, because there are people at large who are definitely going to maybe feel the ripple, they're definitely going to feel the impact. You're a chartered accountant. If, for example, and a very experienced one, ex Deloitte, I would like for you to maybe shed light on the fact that if you were to advise, like Sudhir had just mentioned, smaller firms or startups, and given this given this situation which is in a state of flux right now, how would you tell them to navigate this?
That's a tricky one.
That's why I was asking you.
See, building in the age of AI is all about outcomes, right? And it, people have moved on to a mindset of being very objective driven. So I think people building AI have always known that it's their tech that they've been building and that would come after them. And sadly, in this case, it's been the legislation first, so it's a harder pill to swallow. But it's going to be a definitely a challenge on how do you choose, how do you pick. But in my mind, a lot of these companies would open up a lot of GCCs back in India, or probably make it a very soft launch rather than making it a hard launch or a hard landing. So they would probably move them over to their Indian entities, make them
Hmm.
work lead projects from their Indian entities, and continue. And I'd probably still look to create a win-win, because as likely mentioned by Ankur, humans are involved, families are involved. So companies would be cognizant of what impact they do create on their people and the culture. So yeah, I think you see a lot of these employees moving on to Indian counterparts in the next few years.
Hmm. Okay. I'm lost you a little bit, Bharat, but I guess I got the gist of it. Essentially, what you're trying to say is that they're going to try to make the transition as easy as possible, because obviously there is a human factor which is involved, and a big human factor which is involved. Okay, Ankur, even if US courts delay or overturn the fee, will global clients permanently shift toward an offshore first mindset? What signs would show this change is here to stay?
I'm really sorry, but it's very, very difficult for me to get your question. There's something on with the audio. So
I'll
sorry about
repeat it
that. I
again.
can't
I'll
hear
repeat
you.
it again. I'll repeat it again. No worries. Even if US courts delay or overturn the fee, will global clients permanently shift towards an offshore first mindset? And if so, what signs would show this change is here to stay?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that I think they will. They definitely is going. See, let me just frame my thoughts again. I guess the big thing is
Sure.
like the mindset shift happens in times where current kind of models disrupt themselves. We've seen that happen in the past as well when COVID happened. Suddenly we realized that it was much easier for folks to sit at home and then still be operating out of that, and there was no need for physical office going, and people to get to
Hmm.
meetings physically, and all uh, virtual way of doing business became the rule of the thumb. I mean,
Sure.
it was widely accepted suddenly. Human beings, I think, by nature are very sort of adaptable to new situations, and so
Yeah.
therefore the mindset shift, even if the fees gets delayed or the courts rule in favor of not having those fees and all, I think the mindset shift would have happened. Companies would have already started to kind of move in that line of thought to say that, hey,
Hmm.
this, if it's happened today, it can happen again. And if it can happen again, if we can find ways to work around it, then we should might as well start to do it now, anyways. So I think there's going to be this whole paradigm shift from what it used to be earlier and how we used to operate. And with this movement that has happened in the last 24 hours, I think the trigger is now set. The bullet has now left the gun, if you may.
Yep.
And there is a point of
Yep.
no return. I mean, things will start moving now. Companies definitely will start thinking about how do they, or how can they start reinventing their business models, irrespective of whether the fees happens or gets delayed or gets denied or whatever that might be.
So basically, companies, as I could understand it, Ankur, would be trying to trump this one, no pun intended. If big tech companies actually cut back on new H-1B hires, will they speed up the use of AI agents for customer support and testing? And how should Indian IT firms adapt their pricing and quality guarantees? This is for you, Sudhir. I would like for you to go ahead and shed light on this one.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I couldn't understand the question. I'm very, very sorry about it.
Okay, I'll repeat it again for you very quickly. If big tech companies cut back on new H-1B hires, will they speed up the use of AI agents for customer support and testing? And how should Indian IT firms adapt their pricing and quality guarantees?
Got it. You see, it's again very subjective, but the way I look at it is that it's the lead time, right? For example, if you have another 6, 8, 12 months, and it all depends on what is going to happen in the next 12 months. And according to me, what is going to happen in the next 12 months is that people will start using AI a lot. And once they get accustomed to using AI, all the first level communications, let's say, for example, tech support is all gone, call centers are all gone, AI will handle it. And then coming back to your question on quality, I think the Indian companies have been doing even right now. If you ask me,
Mhm.
they've been committing to very aggressive pace even by operating offshore. So they can now go even more aggressive using AI based quality assessment and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's my take. And
All
Indian
right,
companies
fair
can
enough.
do
So
is
you
that
feel, yes?
they
Sorry,
can
you
come.
were saying. No,
Yeah,
sorry, you were
sorry.
saying, you were finishing up. There is a lag, there is a latency. You were finishing up, Sudhir. Finish your thought, and then of course I will ask
Yeah,
the final question to all of
I
three
was
of
just
you.
concluding. Yeah, I was just concluding that the Indian companies should start upskilling their workforce rapidly right now, so that the companies who expect people physically would not find that
Got it.
big gap when yeah. So yeah.
Got it. Fair enough. Fair point. Well, finally, gentlemen, if fewer Indian students move to the US for jobs, and this is a big one, how can India use that returning talent to build its own AI products and research? We've already heard how our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, is pushing for Make in India, buy Indian, all of that. What policies or industry moves are needed to capture that opportunity?
Yep, I'll take that one. So
Please, Bharat.
a lot of a lot of progress in areas where we've wanted to deliberately get a lot of energy effort from both public and private entities has always come at a crucial point and has realized gains sooner when both public and private entities have shook hands. So I think especially in this moment now, a lot of companies you would see who used to originally have these research roles based in the US would start building in-house research teams in India. So that means that would inevitably lead to a lot of newer jobs. And with the influx of people returning back to India, that would mean these peoples would now be going after the more valuable and higher value creating jobs, which is necessarily research and AI ML today. So that's for one. And from the public side of things, we would see a lot of folks who used to go to masters for to the in the US. Now, a lot of top engineering colleges and institutes would start seeing a lot of money coming in, and they would probably build in a lot of research labs with it, and that would lead to, I think, a lot of progress for again the India story becomes even stronger. And you know what? I'd like to quote John F. Kennedy, who once said that America is rich not because of its road and not the other way around. So I think a lot of the investment in R&D today would lead to a lot of progress in AI first thinking and building product companies and not just writing custom code. I think that's the big change we'd like to see, and that I think is starting to play already.
Oh, that's encouraging. All right, gentlemen, very quickly, we only have about a minute to go. I would like for all of you to give me your closing thoughts on this development. Obviously, it's fairly dynamic, it's ongoing, but very quickly, if you were to sum up your closing thoughts on this in maximum a sentence or two, I would give it. I would start with Sudhir. Sudhir.
Yeah, so I would stick to my overall thought process, but the point is that we should welcome it. It's a welcome move from a product perspective. I think people should start building more products from India to the globe. And that playbook has already been done by a lot of people like Zoho and Freshdesk. So I think that's the way we should look at it. Only then the US people will come to India and request for our products to be used. So our dominance should not be based on the labor arbitrage, but I believe that our dominance should be on the quality of AI products that we are going to deliver and build for the future.
Ankur.
Well, I'd say that every cloud has a silver lining, and this cloud too has its silver lining. There are definite advantages to the situation that's unfolding, and of course, Bharat and Sudhir have mentioned some of them. I do feel India stands to gain in this for sure. At the same time, it's probably the right thing for the US markets too. They want to obviously have more and more of their local talent, getting more
Sure.
employment opportunities. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. Um, but having said that, I'm still very concerned, and my heart goes out to the people who will be affected with this movement. If they did not want to be uprooted from the place where they were, and they still have to now, that's an unfortunate situation for them. So at a human level, I feel sorry for them, but at a overall statistical level, I feel like it's a great movement for both the US markets as well as the Indian markets.
Bharat,
Yeah.
finally, your voice,
Yeah.
which will bring everything to some sort of method.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus one on what Ankur said. Uh, I feel we as a country and us as people are very adaptable, and we have always bounced back from any hardship that our economy and our people have had to face. So, in long story short, this is a big opportunity just packaged as an adversity right now. But I totally see
Mhm.
how we are going to gain and how we are going to ace being the AI first economy going forward. So yeah, genuinely excited about times to come.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ankur, Bharat, Sudhir weighing in with their closing statements. Of course, talking about exciting times, talking about huge opportunities, the landscapes changing for both the United States and India. And it's how we adapt to this particular development, although it's still ongoing. Let's see how the courts weigh in on this. And finally, of course, we thank you all three for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us, shedding so much of light on this. And finally, I guess all three of them agree that if there is a way that we can make sure that the human aspect of it is at some level or the other given kid glove treatment, the rest of it all, in terms of the landscape, looks fairly exciting as far as India is concerned. And of course, the new products and the new talent and the new unicorns, hopefully in the making, are concerned. Thank you again, gentlemen.